welcome to my channel. Today I'm painting with budget-friendly paints, 50-cent paints that I got from Walmart. And I'm going to do some of my favorite flowers. You've seen me do these many times before. Roses and hydrangeas, and the leaves and stems that go along with them. And I've put them all in a glass vase, so you'll get a bit of that too. I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, please remember to give me a thumbs up. That helps the algorithm find me and it helps my channel grow, and I'd really appreciate it if you could do that. So here we go. These budget paints all have different names to my usual acrylics, but I've chosen the colours that are closest to titanium white, primary yellow, raw sienna, raw umber, French ultramarine blue, sap green and alizarin crimson. And it doesn't matter if they're a little bit off. Those are basically the primary colours, and they work very well. Using a 3/4 inch flat, I'm going to paint my background first. And I'm using blue. I won't tell you the names they gave because they're complicated. So I'm just using the darkest blue, which as you can see is very transparent. And I'm going to use the yellow and probably raw umber for the base to bring it down at the base. The top 2/3 will be more colourful with the blue and yellow mixing to make a green. I always manage to get a fairly decent painting with these budget-friendly paints, but I'm not going to lie, they are not the easiest paint to deal with. They don't have a very good quality pigment, or maybe perhaps not as much pigment in the base, and they are very fluid, which means that you will put a stroke on and it will run and you'll have to catch it or wipe it off, or in my case I lay my paintings down flat to dry if I do use this. I usually only paint with these paints if I'm trying to demonstrate that you can actually get something decent out at the end with them. You just have to work rather harder to do that. So I'd rather paint a little bit more for my paints and have the ease of non-drip, non-fluid paints. I've used Liquitex fluid paints. They call them soft-bodied paints, and they are much easier, not so drippy, and really good quality pigment, so you get a nice strong colour. But these paints, you get what you pay for, and that's what the difference is. I'm adding white to make the paint a little more opaque and to bring it down somewhat. I like a nice misty sort of background for my paintings. I like whatever I'm doing, the rose, the hydrangeas, the vase, whatever I'm doing, I like that to be the star of the show, and I don't want a distracting background. I like these powder brushes to blend with. They're lovely, big and fluffy, and cheap enough if you get them from somewhere like the Dollar Tree, that you can have several around, because once they get wet they're useless. They need to dry off again, and so I always have a few powder brushes around to blend my background. I like a really softly blended background, and these work perfectly. I'm adding a little of the red, which says it's crimson. It looks a little on the pink side to me, but I like the colour that it adds, the vibrancy that it adds to my paintings, so I usually find a place to add red. I'm using a liner brush, also called a rigger, with which to put in my stems, and sometimes I put in leaves and things like that. Mostly I leave those out and put those in with a flat, and I'll outline the shape of the vase too. I'm mixing blue and white for the base of my hydrangeas, and you'll see as I put it on that the color is very transparent. I'll have to put on several layers to get any decent color on, and I might one of these days try mixing paste. It will lighten the color. The white paste always does lighten the color, and since these don't have much pigment in, that might be crucial. But we'll see how it goes. It'll be an interesting experiment that I'll try one of these days. For the base of my rose, I'm putting on neat red, and I'll pull in the white for the petals. And I'm using a flat. I'm sorry you can't see very well, it's my camera angle. But I pull in the leaf from the outside edge of the leaf in toward the center, to where the center vein would be. I'm going to reinforce my stems, and I'm just using the green to do that, but I usually go over my stems with a few different colors, with raw umber, sometimes French ultramarine blue, very often with alizarin crimson, and for a highlight I either mix up an orange color or I will use straight primary yellow. I'm going to start on the vase by outlining it in white, but whatever you have in the vase will show in a reflection. So I will be adding pinks, green for the leaves, and another thing that makes glass look glassy is being able to see right through it. So I won't hide the background entirely. That will show, the stems will show, and I will also, one little trick I have is to put on the reflection of a window, 4 little panes of glass. Wherever do you see those anymore? It's very old-fashioned, but I find it helps a glass vase look glassy. I usually mix a pale blue to put on the vase on the shadow side. It's the reflection is just not as bright as it is where the light is coming from. I'm going to mix the white and the crimson, and using a 3/4 inch flat, I'll put in some of the petals on the rose, and I'll do the ones that are furthest away, cross the other side of the rose twice first, and pull those in from the outer edge down toward the center. And I'll gradually work my way forward to the petals that are closest. I do those last. For the petals that you can see, I'll do a long stripe, and then for the ones that you only see the top of, I do a sideways swipe. I hope that explains it clearly. I like to put greenery below the rose. Then when I pull in the lower petals, it drags some of the green into the paint, and it makes the petals look more transparent, and I like that effect. I decided that the vase was too wide, so I'm just painting a couple of stripes of the sienna color. And I know I didn't remember to blend that in, but it doesn't really make that much difference. You hardly notice it because the flowers are what catches your eye in the painting. Normally I wouldn't touch these petals once they've been painted, but with the budget paints being so fluid, drops form and I have to catch those and keep dragging them back into place. So that is another problem with these paints, but as you'll see, if you work hard enough, you can get a pretty decent painting out of them. I'm using the blue undiluted in order to give me a shadow side to the hydrangeas, and I usually have a little more variation in my hydrangeas, but I think this looks good anyway. I almost always work with 3 shades of each color: my mid-tone, my shade, my shadow, and my highlight. And that gives whatever I'm painting form. You can see it in the hydrangeas. I haven't quite put on my highlight yet, but already they're beginning to look round. Hydrangeas are made up of many florets, individual florets, but I don't paint that many. They're usually 4-petaled, and I put on individual petal shapes after I put on my solid base, and then occasionally at the very end I will go over and put in some 4-petaled florets, but very few of them in actuality. You just need to dab on those petal shapes and it somehow comes together and looks like a hydrangea with very little effort. The more colour you can get in the glass, the more lively and realistic it will look. And that goes for reflections on things like tables, anything that has a reflective surface. If you can get a lot of colour in it, it will make your painting look lively. I think there would be a reflection on the table, and I usually add some color to that side of the vase. I don't take it too seriously because it's not something that catches your eye. Your eye goes to the glass vase or the flowers and doesn't really check out reflections on tables, so I don't put too much effort into that part. I think we're pretty much done with this. I'll leave it for a little while, have a cup of tea, see if there are any other changes that I need to make. And I know one thing, I'll have to lie it flat to dry it so that the drips don't take over. I've mixed up a yellowish green to dot in the center stamens. I sometimes use a Q-tip to do this, but I'm being lazy today and I haven't got one handy, so I'm just going to use the end of my liner brush and that should be good enough. Well, that's about it. I think it turned out quite nicely and I'm very pleased. I didn't have to spend much on those paints, 50 cents a bottle, and I got a nice painting out of it. I had to work a little harder than with regular artist paints, but I think it's pretty good all in all. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to see more of my videos. And thank you very much for watching, and sometime soon I'll try adding a paste to these paints and that will thicken them up. That will make them easier to handle, I'm sure. It might dilute the color somewhat, so we'll have to see how that goes. Look forward to that one. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.